Hello and welcome to Dan Talks United. Come on. Yes. We've beat Palace at Old Trafford 2-1. Wasn't the best game in the world. I appreciate that. But we've got the win. And it was bang on with my prediction for this game. I predicted 2-1. Just had a feeling that Palace was going to score. But also had a feeling that it was going to have that sort of European hangover. Wasn't quite like that, I suppose. We'll get on to the game when we do the analysis. But the main thing is that we've got that win. Come on, guys, we've got that win. 2-1, up to third in the table. Let's go. But yes, I will do the first half analysis. And as always, please put your comments in. I need to refresh my stream. Please put your comments in regards to how you felt the game went. Do you think we were lucky? Do you think we deserved that win? All to be debated, but like I say, let's get into things. So, as we're saying, 2-1, goals from Lacroix, if that's how you pronounce his name, defender for Palace, who ultimately got sent off in the end. Bruno gets one from the penalty spot, and then Sesko gets the winner again. So, like I say, up to third. So, first half then, really strange start again, to be honest. First comment coming in there from SJ to the G. Afternoon to all. Afternoon to anybody that's coming in. But yes, just to get into the first half analysis anyway. Really strange start. Very similar to the Everton game. I've been saying, to be honest, that we haven't really been playing that well. I don't know if that's, you probably would say that's a bit of a concern. Obviously, I don't want to make this negative because we've won. We've won 2-1. We've come from behind. Really positive. You've got to be happy when your team wins. But we've got to dissect as well. It's really important that we do both sides of this. And it's not all about, praise and everything when you don't want to sort of miss out on critical aspects that we need to sort of talk about. But anyway, like I say, a bit of a strange start. Very similar to, like I said, against Everton. Very sort of lethargic, considering if you didn't know where the two teams were in the league, if you didn't know which teams are in Europe and which competitions both teams are in, and you was to guess which team was playing in Europe on Thursday, you would imagine that it was Manchester United, the way that they started. Very, like I say, very slow, very lethargic, sort of second to first ball, second to second balls. We're just not getting there. I think there was so much more energy from Crystal Palace today. Very similar, I suppose, to when we played Palace at their place, where they started better than we did, and then we did reverse the scoreline in a sense. So kind of a similar finish to a certain extent, where they've let us back in the game and they've done it again today. So we've needed a little bit of help to get over the line today. But again, let's not just have one person making comments. Anybody coming in, feel free to make some comments. Let's have a chat about things. Stops me just seeming like I'm just talking at you. But come on, let's have a chat about it. How did you feel this game went? Are you really positive about the game? Are you a bit, if you want to use the word, negative about the game? How did you feel overall? Again, wasn't the best game. I think we can all say that, who's watched the game today. Not the best game in the world. But what's most important, especially this part of the season, the run-in to May, and trying to get that Champions League spot, what's most important? Playing well and drawing, or playing well and losing, or not playing so well, but getting the points on the board, and a critical 3 points on the board, especially when, I don't know what, I think it's just kicked off. You've got Arsenal versus Chelsea. Chelsea on our coattails. You might not want Arsenal to win, generally speaking. Depends on where you live in the country. I know if you're more down south, you're more in the sort of camp not wanting Arsenal to win the league and you prefer Man City to win it. It doesn't really matter where your allegiances are when it comes to that. It's about today. You'd want Chelsea to be slowed down today. For me, you don't really want Chelsea that close to you, because them and Liverpool are the ones that are going to be coming for those sort of top 4, top 5 spots, I'd say. And I've said it before, I've got and especially still got, two eyes on Villa. And I've been very confident that we were going to chase Villa down and catch Villa up. And I know we're on the same points, but they're fourth and we're third now. And obviously, I know it's goal difference, and anything can change from now till May. But I was very confident that we were going to catch up to Villa and surpass them. So hopefully, we can keep this going. Regardless of performance, we can keep this going, but that's the main thing for me. So anyway, back into the first half analysis anyway. So sort of early on, Henderson sort of miskicks the ball and it drops to Bruno. Bruno just sort of try and sort of score really and sort of hit it first time. Didn't really get the best connection, so sort of Henderson ends up gathering it because it is a little bit of a tame effort really. Then, not so long after that, quite early doors, because like I said, we were sort of sustaining a bit of early pressure from Palace. And then Palace end up scoring in the first sort of 3 minutes or so from a corner. Unfortunately, because I think Euro's been pretty good. He's been pretty good since Carrick's come in. I know he hasn't really played much, but when he's come on as a substitute, he's played really well. And obviously, a game or two back, I think it was against West Ham, where he was defending two forward players very well and made two last-ditch sort of tackles that were spot on. So unfortunately, he's lost, in a way he's lost his man. He's not been strong enough. So if you watch it back, he's sort of tussling a little bit with Lacroix, and Lacroix's just much more stronger than he is, and he's just not anticipating where he needs to be. And unfortunately, he's rooted to the spot. Lacroix sort of jumps, gets his header, sort of heads from quite deep in the area, really. But it was a lovely sort of header, a lovely connection that he got on it. It sort of loops into the net. It's one of those where it always looks like maybe the goalkeeper could save it, but when you look back at it, it was just very precise. And I suppose in those situations, first and foremost, you're expecting Euro to stop that. Then after that, you're hoping that another defender may just intercept that before it loops over there, because it's one of those where the keeper doesn't know whether to come or go sort of thing. So you can't really blame Le Mans for that. But other than that, then obviously very sort of slow, lethargic in possession. When we've had the ball, we get it up to the final third, and it's just a misplaced pass. We just can't get the combinations going, and we're just not getting that sort of Cunha, Bruno, Ahmad. You're not getting that sort of compilation. You're not getting that song. You're not getting that rhythm. And you're getting players like Dalot, and I've got to get on Dalot's back a little bit. There was times where he saw the ball out and defended okay, pretty well, you want to say that. I think he did all right in the last game, but he's passing, and it's very important, and I've said it before, loads of times I've said it before, it's really important for the full-backs to get involved in the forward play. And you expect, when they get up to that final third, that you can do a simple 2, 3, 4 yard pass, and it's just wayward passing, and it breaks everything down. And now, if you're committed forward and you do a dodgy pass that your inside player can't collect, and you then get Crystal Palace in this occurrence nicking the ball, they're on the break. And obviously, Palace are not the best team in the world, and I feel we should have beat Palace more than this scoreline, but you can't if you're playing shit. And I just think we're lucky that they're not a better team, because a better team would have punished us today on the break. If you're going to keep losing the ball in, doesn't seem like a dangerous position because you're in their half, but it's dangerous when you've got men committed forward. And I just think we just need a bit more from our fullbacks. We need more from Shaw, who unfortunately went off injured. We need more from Dalot. He did have a couple of lovely crosses today, to be fair to him, but then just the simple stuff sometimes, just really poor decision making, falling on the floor, slipping all the time. I know that's not really that's not the mark of him being shit, falling on the floor, but I think if things are going well for you, you stay on your feet, you do well, everything connects. But anyway, don't want to spend too much time bashing Dalot because we've won today. Let's not forget that. So, like I say, Palace score, Lacroix, decent effort, decent header, really deep, like I say, into the box. And we could have definitely defended that better. But again, we're slow, we're second to everything, just not good enough in that first half. It's just like a continued attack from Palace. And every time I sort of look in, it's Palace is on the attack because, like I say, they're turning the ball over. Nothing really from us. And even after they've scored, we're still not sort of like, normally when a team concedes, especially that early on as well, when a team concedes and you're at home, you've got the home crowd behind you, Palace have just scored, you expect any team at that top end of the table, you would expect to make a fight for it, sort of come back, up the intensity, especially when you've got quality players. And it just felt really flat and lethargic still, even though we were 1-0 down. You're just thinking, what is going on here? It's like time's ticking away and we're not even fashioning a chance. I can't even think of a really good chance in that first half, really. So I think it was around 24 minutes. Again, if there's a couple of people sort of coming in, just put your comments in, just doing the first half analysis at the moment and just talking about how we've played overall in that first half. And obviously we'll come on to the second half. So I think it was around 24 minutes. I think it was quite early on that Shaw got an injury. I don't know if anybody knows, if there's anybody watching that can confirm what the injury was. I'm not sure. And then Mazraoui comes on at left back. And I think overall, I'm not going to go into performances yet because we are going to do, as always, man of the match and top performers and stuff like that. But just to touch on it, I thought Mazraoui slotted in quite nicely. 31 minutes, Maguire heads goalwards from a corner, but Sarr blocks the effort. So it was a good swinging corner, and I think it was Bruno that took the corner. Then after 35 minutes, Bello gets booked, gets a yellow card, a late challenge. So again, it was unavoidable, really, because I think it was one of those where it sort of pushed forward, trying to keep the ball trapped up top, and then just concedes there where I think obviously there's a mistake and a confusion between players. And again, you're always stretching and lunging in at you in those situations. And then 36 minutes or so, and Burmo skips inside. Probably should have shot, to be fair. And then just sort of passes inside. And then there's Mazraoui and Cunha sort of both going for the ball. So obviously Cunha's thinking, this is mine. But Mazraoui was closer. Mazraoui gets the shot off, but it was probably put off a little bit by Cunha running in. And then ultimately one of the Palace players then blocks the shot then. And then on 37 minutes, so obviously you can see the intensity is sort of building, but still not quite there for me. Crosses in for Sesko. But just the cross is one of those, a little bit, not enough sort of whip on it, really, or not enough power on it. And Sesko doesn't. I know sometimes the ball can be crossed in, and the top end strikers can really get their neck muscles into there and really generate some more power. But unfortunately, it was quite a tame effort at Henderson. So then 41 minutes in, Bruno was close with a free kick. I think it was just sort of tipped over the bar by Henderson. And then on 42 minutes, I would say Casemiro should have really scored from a header. Bruno free kick, and it just sort of glances off his head and sort of goes wide. So he didn't really get a connection on it. And then we get to half-time, and it's 1-0 to Crystal Palace still at half-time. You just think to yourself, when you think about it overall, I don't know what you guys think that are watching, you'd expect, even though we weren't playing well, you'd expect a team like Manchester United, with the players that we have, to have at least fashioned some better chances before that first half was ended. And to say that we was 1-0 down from about the 4th minute in, it's still a lot of time, still 40-odd minutes to try and equalise. And at that point, you're thinking, don't get me wrong, never overly confident with Manchester United these days, but still quite confident that we were going to get back into the game and at least draw level at some point. But it's still a little bit edgy when you go into that half-time interval and you're 1-0 down at home. Not great. But then that is the bonus that we're at home, so there's always a chance of coming back. So, second half then, and again, just encouragement. I know it's Sunday afternoon and there's plenty of other channels going live at the moment. and there is that big game with Arsenal and Chelsea. But like I say, the ones that are coming in, anybody that's coming in, stick with us. Let's have a chat about things. Give me your opinions on this game. Just going to be a quick one for a Sunday afternoon, but let's get into things anyway. So, yeah, the second half, you're thinking that, right, we're going to come out and going to be full on and trying to get back in the game. Because if it's me, if I'm Carrick, if I'm the coaching staff, you're going to be getting into the players and saying, come on, okay, bad start, not a great first half. It's Palace though, come on, let's get into them. All we need to do is start to create some chances and they will fold eventually, because Palace will fold if you're coming at them. And I just thought that the intensity, it was a little bit like, I suppose, like you've got your radio dial and you just went one. You just went up one. That's it, really. You've got all these gears, you've got all these levels, and you've just gone up one. And it's like still a little bit like huff and puff and no real direction. And again, I don't want to go into Carrick because for me, it's still Carrick at the wheel for now. But it's just I'm starting to want to see almost like that plan B in a sense. And I just want to see us get over this hump of struggling to break down teams that are set up pretty well. And it's just ironic that that Glasner team is playing a very similar system to Amorim. Obviously, they've been playing it for a longer period, and they have lost a few players, some key players, as I was saying before in the preview. They've lost some good players there, Gay, for example, and Eze and stuff like that. But they play the system well. They were set up pretty well. You could say it's probably because we weren't great, so it looked good. But in any case, they were set up well, and we're finding it hard to break them down. So like I say, the intensity only went up only so slightly. But then there was a chance from a deep cross from Dalot, so something that Dalot did well, to be fair. To be honest, his passing wasn't great at times, but his crossing was okay today. But then the ball was cleared. And yeah, like I say, it's... Again, the as I was saying earlier in the first half, the intensity wasn't quite there, and I wasn't still getting what I needed from the fullbacks. But in any case, like I say, a decent cross from Dalot there. 52 minutes in, ball is played through to by Bruno to Cunha, who then spins Lacroix, and then Lacroix fouls Cunha. Now, this is where it's interesting, and please put your comments in. Lovely ball from Bruno, sees Cunha's run. Cunha sort of spins. Lacroix sort of trying to be quite close to Cunha, sort of starts to pull him on his shoulder from outside the box. It continues when Cunha gets inside the box, and he seems to... Then Cunha obviously is played for the foul, which you'd expect. Cunha is our bastard. And you expect that, and you want that in your team. So I'm never going to say don't do that because it's fair. It's fair at the end of the day. You're last man. You're the last defender. You start to either put your weight on someone or pull them down or pull them back, and you're the last defender or the last player, then you are preventing a goal-scoring opportunity. Then what happens is ref points to the spot, and there's a lengthy delay. I think there was no real problem around the foul per se, so I think VAR obviously will have looked at the foul and see if they agree with the referee and make sure there's not a mistake there, an obvious mistake there. The referee seemed pretty certain, so points to the spot, like I say. VAR sort of confirms it's a penalty, so the next stage of this VAR review is to see if it's preventing an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, which would then lead to a red card. So obviously, referee then gets told to go to the monitor, and then inevitably then he announces that Lacroix's been sent off and it's a penalty. So again, put your comments in. Do you think it was a penalty? If I'm really honest, I think I kind of see it in two ways in a sense. I think you've always got a player that is clever, especially in those situations where we're struggling and we need a goal. If you put hands on a player and you keep putting your hands on the player and you go into the box and your hand's still pretty much there, I think the attacker, Cunha in this circumstance, has always got the excuse, the opportunity to go down. And I think if it was in Burma, I think earlier, was fouled in the box but didn't go down. So this is the problem. If you're honest and stay on your feet, and we don't score, you don't get the penalty. A lot of the time when you're honest and you stay on your feet, a lot of the time you don't get the penalty. It's almost like you need to put that doubt or sort of confirm it in the referee's mind that there was a foul by going down. So you can't really win sometimes with these situations. Ultimately, and again, if there's a few people that are watching, don't be shy, put your comments in. Do you think it was a penalty? Really important question. Do you think it was a penalty? Now, obviously, it's easy. I mean, I'll say it was easy. It's easy for me to give my opinion on this because we've won now. But whilst I was watching the game, I was saying, and this is before Bruno's put the ball down to take the penalty, I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was a little bit soft. But at the same time, you do see them given. So it's a bit of both, really. So it was good play. It deserved at least a shot on goal. It deserved, and depending on what that shot was like, it deserved to continue that good play. So you can look at it in many ways, but ultimately we get the penalty. Not complaining that we got the penalty. I'm just trying to be fair here and say, would I have liked that if that was the other way around? And I don't know, it was Maguire that put hands on their forward player, Strand Larsen or something like that, and then Strand Larsen just goes to ground to get a penalty. Would I like that? No. So I've got to be fair, both sides, and sort of say it was a bit soft, but at the same time, he's not blameless because he's got hands on him. So it's one of those. But again, it's one of those that you might want to watch back, different angles and that sort of thing. But there was enough of a hold for the penalty to be given, and that's the main thing. So, like I say, Bruno puts the ball at the spot, and it's just a lovely finish. He steps up, lovely finish, sends Henderson the wrong way, which you've loved to see it because Henderson's an absolute twat as well. And there's a few players that used to play for Manchester United, as Henderson did, who can be absolute arseholes when they've left. And I understand in the circumstances why he left and felt hard done by. I get all that. But he's come through the youth ranks. I don't know who he supports. He's come through the youth ranks, and I just think he's an absolute arsehole when he plays against us. But in any case, you'll love to see it when you get the better of them. When you get the better of these players that used to play for us and being an arsehole, you love to see it. But anyway, like I say, Bruno, captain, Marvel, steps up, puts it in the right-hand corner, keeper's left, keeper dives to the right, sends in the wrong way. Love it. So that's us getting back on track. That's us probably a little bit lucky. And again, don't be shy if you're watching. Put your comments in. Do you think it was a penalty? Do you think we're a bit lucky? That was definitely the turning point, because on top of getting a penalty and getting back in the game, it's a player sent off. And again, we don't always do the best against 10 men, as we knew against Everton in that first game where they beat us 1-0. And then obviously against Spurs, we did beat them, but again, we did feel to struggle against them. And then again in this game, go down to 10 men, Palace that is, and Palace was still in the game. They were still coming for us at times. So, like I say, no matter what you think, either way, we get the penalty, we draw level. It's 1-1 at this stage. Bruno, again, may not have had the best game in the world, but we'll come on to player performances. But again, it's still a pressure penalty because you might not have been thinking it in the moment, but before the game, you know that if you win it, you go third because of goal difference. You just knew it. You know, we were already there or thereabouts. And we had more goals, better goal difference than Aston Villa anyway. So we just knew if we won today, we go third. And as Aaron's saying here, coming in, not pretty, but we'll take the win. And as you said there, you're right, not pretty, but we'll take the win. But I'm just asking the question there, Aaron, don't know if you've been in the whole time, but do you think it was a penalty? Do you think we're lucky today? And you're giving me man of the match early doors as well. So yeah, we'll come back to that though. But please tell me for the question right now, do you think that was a penalty on Cunha? What's your thoughts, Aaron? So, yes, like I say, 1-1 brings it back level. And then once he scores that, And again, it's a pressure penalty in the sense because he knows he'll take us to third, and it's also to get us back in the game. You sort of think it's only going to go one way then after drawing level. So 64 minutes, Bruno sort of crosses from deep, and Sesko gets a good connection with his head, and it goes past the diving Henderson to make it 2-1. And definitely at that point, you're thinking it's game over. But like I was saying, Palace was still in the game. They're still coming at us. Again, didn't feel particularly nervous about it because I thought we'd defend well anyway. And I don't think they've got enough game changers in that team. And as much as it was a good opening goal for Palace, I didn't see where they were going to score again or where they were going to score up till that goal. As Aaron's saying, yeah, it's a foul, but the free kick just outside the box. Yeah, so that's the thing. It started. The thing is, the foul, you would say, started from outside the box, but the problem is it then becomes the length of time often as well. So if it's just a quick tug outside the box, not enough for him to go down, probably ain't going to get a free kick. But because it continues, and then obviously Cunha is clever and goes down in the box, you do sort of judge it from there. But again, it's open to opinions. This is why I'm saying put your comments in. And this is why I want to see what people think about whether it was a penalty or not. Again, penalty was given. Often, though, I always think, though, if people do get a penalty awarded unfairly, often the person doesn't always generally score. So I just thought, if this is meant to be, Bruno will score. And he scored, so there we are. 79 minutes then, Bruno sort of hooks the ball over the top, hooks it out of the air. There's a ball over the top, he sort of hooks it out of the air. And this is with Ahmad that's coming as a sub, sort of gets it into Ahmad's path. Ahmad hits quite a nice shot, to be fair. Probably wasn't in any sort of danger of going in per se, but it was a nice sort of hit from outside the box. But Henderson gets down quite low and comfortably saves it. So although sort of Palace was coming at us here and there, we were getting our chances as well. 81 minutes then, Casemiro, sort of nice 1-2 with Bruno, because Bruno sort of stepped up his game a little bit in that second half. Then he does a darting run into the box, which Casemiro does now and again, to be fair, but unfortunately he does sort of slip or stumble before he can get on the end of the ball. So unfortunately that chance goes begging. 92 minutes, because obviously there was 8 minutes added on as well. Ahmad did a 1-2 with Meno. Again, Meno was here and there, but we'll come on to performances. Sort of twists a little bit as he does and jinks. And again, another nice shot, sort of 30 yards out, but Henderson sort of palms it wide. And then 94 minutes then, Ahmad has a lovely sort of run down the wing, down the right-hand side. I don't know which play it was again, one of their defenders anyway. I don't know if it was Muniz, sort of slides in but misses the tackle, so he continues his run. So a nice sort of cutback pass into the box. In a way, sort of putting it on the plate for Xerxes, but again, I've said about Xerxes, I've got my sort of reservations about Xerxes. I'm not quite sure that he's up for this league personally, but again, please put your comments in. Please put your comments in about the game, how you think we've played. Can we sustain this? Can we stick and get that third spot? Can we at least get a Champions League finish? What does everybody think? Still a few games to play yet. Appreciate it, but how does everybody think that this game went? Xerxes, as we're saying, a little bit of reservations about him. I think there's a footballer in there. I just don't know if it's a footballer that can play in this league. I think his first touch when he first came in, the ball comes over, he sort of traps the ball nicely, deft, sort of very Berbatov-esque in a sense, but then who does he pass it to? Tallow, who then does something stupid as normal. But he has got that in his locker where he can sort of hold off his man. It's almost like when he wants to play, he can play. But I still just don't think he's got the right composure to be a number 9. I know he doesn't feel like he's a number 9 himself anyway. He classes himself as a 9.5 or whatever. I don't think he's got enough pace either. I don't think he's got enough intensity to sort of really battle against some of these gritty defenders in this league, so I just don't see him making it in this league. I think he was obviously better suited in the Italian league, Serie A. Maybe he'd be good in Spain, maybe, but Premier League, I'm not so sure. And then Ahmad sort of pops up in the left-hand side of the box. And again, it almost felt like, because again, there's some relationships off the pitch developing. And I just feel like, is it one of those where Ahmad is friends with Xerxes and just wants to get him on the score sheet because he's not been playing much and wants him in the spotlight? So he sort of cuts it back again for the second time. But I'm sorry, Xerxes. You've got to get a shot properly on target and work the keeper with one of those two chances, and both have been blocked. And again, it's about composure, it's about confidence. I get all that, but just not good enough for me. Just really not good enough for me. So before we get into sort of top performers, and before we get onto the big one, which is the man of the match, I'm just going to have a quick sort of look on FootMob as normal. And just sort of really quick look at the stats and then see what we all think as well in regards to that. So, as you can see there, we're on the left-hand side there. Obviously, the game finishes 2-1, Old Trafford, 61% possession overall. And again, that's another thing that I've said in other videos, that do we do well when we've got most of the ball? Now, obviously, in this occurrence, and obviously you can always say it sort of changed a little bit once Palace have gone down to 10 men. But do we do well with most of the ball? And in most cases, and I suppose since Carrick's come in, I just think our better performances have been when we've had less of the ball. So obviously, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's pretty much what I feel anyway. Again, tell us what you think. I've been asking as well for people that are watching. Just give us an overview of what you think, how do you think the game went. So as you can see there, expected goals, we've got just over 2 there. Total shots in the end, we had quite a lot of shots in the end. I don't think it was looking quite like that in that first half. We got 20, ended up with 20. They got 8 shots on target. We ended up with 11. They had 3 big chances. We had 3. They had 0. So it sort of showed where that game went. I wish I'd just had the stats there just for that first half. You could see that it's just night and day really in terms of chances. So I don't really sort of go too much into the rest of it. So just going to come back out again, and we are going to talk about the top performers in the game. So again, very difficult when I don't feel we played particularly well. And again, tell me who you think played well today. In terms of strong performers then, I think Maguire did well today. I think he probably got taken off, probably subbed off just to save him because he's our most sort of senior centre-back, with De Ligt still out, and the Butcher, who's still out, is meant to be due back, ready for Newcastle, but we'll see. And obviously we need a strong team. It's every game's pivotal now anyway, and it's Newcastle next. So Casemiro in bits played well as well. He had a couple of sort of last-ditch tackles in the centre of midfield there. I did feel that the game sort of passed those two behind today a little bit, Casemiro and Meno. I don't think they was that close together today. I don't know, maybe it's just how I saw it, and I don't know what you guys thought, but I just thought that they were a little bit disconnected today, Meno and Casemiro, but individually, Casemiro did all right. I think I've got to put Sesko up there because he's got the goal, he's got the winner, so he's got to be in there as a top performer. Cunha putting in a shift again. So again, doesn't always play the best. And obviously I've argued whether he should start on the bench still and come on. And Alex from the Football Brotherhood messaged me and sort of said about it feels like we've people always come on and do well and like super subs. And I sort of understand and agree with Alex there, because I think it feels like we've just got maybe not a full team, but I sort of joked back to Alex saying it's like we've got a team of super subs, and it just feels like when Ahmad didn't play well last week, starts as a sub, comes on and plays pretty well, fashioned a couple of chances, put the ball on the plate for Xerxes a couple of times, had a couple of good shots from outside the box, probably unlucky not to get an assist or a goal. And you just think, yeah, what's going on here? Can none of you guys start? Cunha the same. I feel that he'd come on a few times from the bench and scored goals or got assists. Appreciate that he'd started last week, but it just feels like some of our players are better off coming off the bench. I don't know what that's about. So it's just like we've got a team full of Ole Gunnar Solskjaers or something. I thought Maz played well, actually. I thought A bit of reservations about him going on the left-hand side, but he's one of those sort of utility players into Mazraoui. I think he can sort of play, in a way, he can sort of play anywhere across the back line in a way. Always still want a lot more from him going forward, but I think he's better, a bit more, I'd say he's more secure on the ball than Dalot. And obviously, with Shaw getting injured, Mazraoui comes in quite early doors, and I think that's good for Mazraoui, actually. I don't really like when he comes on quite late in a game. I don't think he can get into the game. So he's probably one of the ones that aren't quite as good as a sub for me. I think he's normally solid, but I think he's better when he's got more minutes. And I think today, got more minutes, came on pretty early in the game. I thought he had a solid performance at left back, to be fair to him, in terms of defensively and just a bit more control. I did think today was not Shaw's best game anyway. I would never wish someone to be injured, and this is not the way I'd want a swap to happen. But I don't think Shaw particularly played well today anyway. So I think Mazraoui coming in was actually welcomed and sort of, for me, put a bit of stabilisation on that left-hand side for me. So again, tell me if you think there's anybody else that you felt played well. So on to the big one, really, then. It is the man of the match. Now, I'm going to put the picture on screen, so sorry it's a little bit small, but I'm going with, and it might be, let's go back to what Aaron was saying, it might be the same player. Let's have a look. Here we are. My man of the match today is Bruno. And again, not saying he played the best in the world, and I have said that it's kind of dipped a little bit here and there. However, he gets a crucial equaliser for the penalty, pressure penalty again, which he's pretty good at doing that. And then also for me, sort of was stringing things together, getting those 1-2s together, starting to try and get us up the pitch a little bit and advance a little bit and start to put the pressure on, especially once we got the equaliser. And then, because he's on 13 now, assists, gets that crucial assist with Sesko getting that winner. So for me, when you get a goal and assist, and to be fair, the team didn't play particularly well, the man of the match has got to go to Captain Marvel, Bruno. So again, please let me know what you guys think, but I think Bruno deserves that man of the match. But again, there's a toss up because as Aaron was saying here earlier, sort of like a quiet shout for Mazraoui, because like I said, I think he was solid at left back. And there's probably one or two others that you could probably say. You could even say Cunha for winning the penalty. Some people might think that, but for me, I think overall Bruno did the job there and pulled us out of the shit in a sense, really, because who knows where that game was going if we, obviously if we didn't get the penalty, but if we didn't convert the penalty, who knows. Now, just to sort of finish things up and just to see some good reading, let's just have a look at where we are in the standings. So here we are then. Obviously, Arsenal are playing now, so as you can see there, it looks like they are winning, beating Chelsea at the moment 1-0. So they are sticking there in top spot anyway. We've got City there in second, and fantastic reading for us. And again, I know this is standards dropped over the years, but what can we do? We are where we are, especially where we were. And obviously, I'm not going to do that fake stuff and say we weren't great under Amorim, but I'm not going to diss him to the point where I'm going to be disingenuous and say that we were far off top 4, top 5, because we weren't when he was sacked. However, it didn't seem like we were going anywhere. So for Carrick to come in after Fletcher's short stint, knocked out of all the competitions before he gets here, all he can do is play one game a week, which we've got, and to get third. So before a ball was kicked under Carrick, to think that we might be third in the beginning of March, I'm not sure anybody would have guessed that. So one thing I've been saying, though, for the last few weeks is that Villa could not sustain those winning goals from 30, 40 yards out all the time. You can't do that every week. And there was not much else happening. And I think after the sort of key sort of injuries that they've had in their midfield, And obviously, so much can change yet because we're only in March, and obviously things end up in May, and we've still got to play Villa as well. But I always felt we could catch up to Villa, and we have done. So let's just hope we can sustain that. So just behind us then is obviously Villa, same points, but we've got better goal difference, which who would have thought that? Because for at least probably 2 seasons, our goal difference has been shocking. There's been times where we can pretty much get to the end of the season and we're in sort of minus goal difference. And I don't think we've been this high up in the league since 2023. 2023, so is that under Ten Hag? So I don't think we've been this high up for like 3 years, call it. So shocking stuff, but it sort of shows you where we are. So Villa then, like I say, in 4th. Liverpool still on our heels. They're in 5th. And then Chelsea, which is going to be good for us. So really sorry for people that are haters of Arsenal, who would rather City win the league. We want Arsenal to win today, really, or at least take some points off Chelsea. So maybe a draw's probably good all around, I don't know, but we want Chelsea to be slowed down a little bit. They had a bit of resurgence with their change of managerial appointment, but they're in 6th there, only slightly behind us, and we just need to start to get a little bit of distance. But again, what does everybody think about that? Nice reading, nice to see us in 3rd. Not sure we're going to be able to really catch up on City to get that 2nd, because, like I say, they've got 8 points there, isn't it? 8-point lead over us there, and obviously forget about catching up Arsenal. That's just out of the question. Definitely not happening. But I think nothing's guaranteed, and obviously there's always big games coming up, and obviously we've got Newcastle coming up next, and I believe that's at home. Oh no, is that at their place? No, that's at their place, isn't it? So that's going to be a tough game at Newcastle. I know that they've lost that last game. To all people, they lost against Everton. They've been sort of losing to sort of standard teams recently. They're a bit of a strange team this season, Newcastle. So hopefully we can not only just beat them once at Old Trafford this season, we can also get the double over them. We beat them to Sesko. We beat them at Old Trafford, 1-0, hard-fought win. Hopefully we can do it again, because they are a strange team, like I say, in this season. We need to solidify that sort of top 4, top 5 position. Hopefully we can hold on to 3rd. As I was saying before, we've got Villa coming up as well at some point. So we really need to sort of show that we've turned a corner. But again, like I say, wasn't the best game today. We're not going to get carried away and say, give Carrick the job, especially when you review the games we've had so far. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see where we are in May. I think that's the best decision to make. I think we just don't need to get carried away at this stage. We need to be thankful that we've won. We need to be, like I say, upbeat. We've got that win, 2-1 against Palace. 3rd in the table. Who would have thought? 3rd in the table. That's really good progress. Let's keep that going now. Come on, United. United, come on, we need to do this. But as always, going to bring these things to an end now. Like I say, Newcastle next. So also catch me for the preview for that match. It's on Wednesday. And also catch me on David Speaks Football's channel tomorrow around sort of 6:20, 6:30. Hopefully Alex is on there as well from the Football Brotherhood. So as always, please like, please share, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It's free. It's free. Hit that subscribe button. It's really important to new channels so that we can push ahead and do more in the next season. But as always, thank you for watching Dan Talks United. United! United! Come on! See you later, people.